So unless you've been living under a rock this past week, you probably heard about the NAR proposed settlement. Crazy news, right? So it's going to change the way we do real estate as far as commissions go. So I'm here to explain that to you, what happened, also how it affects buyers and sellers, and what I think it's going to mean for the future. Remember, this is supposed to go in effect mid-July, so in just a few months. Pretty crazy stuff. Let's get after it. Let's talk about it. All right, Shaye Carter here with Room Real Estate. So let's go over this NAR proposed settlement. So this came out a week ago, last Friday. The New York Times released the story. They actually broke the news before we had heard about it from the NAR. A few hours later, the NAR sent out their email to us members so we could be informed. But let's break it down, what it means. The most important thing, I think the thing that is making the most headlines is definitely the decoupling of commission. I almost said the olden days, but in the past, or I guess currently, how it works is the sellers pay the listing broker, and the listing broker offers a finder's fee to the buyer's agent. They split their fee with, usually it's split, not always, but they give the fee to the buyer's agent. Now, with this proposed settlement, they are decoupling that, meaning that the sellers will pay for their representation, aka the listing agent, and the buyers will pay, if they want representation, they'll pay the buyer's agent directly. That's at least how it's supposed to happen. There's some ways around that, which I'll go into a little bit further in the video, but basically that's what it comes down to. That's like the big headline. So I think this is going to have a few consequences when it comes to this rule in particular. The buyers now have to think about that upfront cost when purchasing a home. So whether it's 2%, 2.5%, that is on the buyer's hands now, not through the seller/listing side. So what that means is a couple things. Either the buyers will have to pay them directly, meaning more closing costs, or they can have the buyer's agent negotiate that when they put their offer in, saying, hey, this is our offer, we're offering this amount. We would also like this amount in concessions, right, from the sellers, and then that concession can be passed along to the buyer's agent. So that's one way to do things, right? So either pay them directly or negotiate that the seller pays at least a portion or the whole thing. So that's a way to get around that. What does that mean? That's going to bring up a couple interesting circumstances for first-time home buyers. Obviously, people with not a lot of money down, that really hurts them. They've already been having a tough time because interest rates are up, home prices are up in general. It's harder to get into a home, and I think this does make it that much harder. Another thing that I haven't heard mentioned a lot is VA buyers. So VA buyers, they are not allowed to take credits. So what does that mean for them? So that means they're going to have to come up with that cost up front. So I think it's some stuff that still needs to be ironed out. I know some lenders are trying to work on packages where they can finance the commission for the buyers, but until we have something in place, that's just something to think about, another hurdle for buyers once this goes into effect mid-July. Another thing to keep in mind, this is a proposed settlement, so this isn't the final. The DOJ can come in and make changes or request changes, so this isn't final, but we are putting in protocols and systems in place as if it was finalized, just to be prepared, because like I said, it's only a few months away. So these are big changes. You've got to change all our contracts. There's so much that has to be changed in such a short amount of time. We have to start preparing now. Also, another rule from this settlement is that there can no longer be buyer's commission listed on the MLS. So what that means is that, like I said before, they can offer concessions, right? So concessions can be offered in the MLS. I think that's going to be the more popular route. I think there'll be a little section in MLS now for concessions that the sellers will offer towards buyers, which, like I said, can then be passed along to the buyer's agent. Also, another thing, it mentions that it cannot be on the MLS, but we've got our own personal website. We're big on social media, emails. So on those forms of communication, you can express commission. So if a buyer can still offer a commission, they just can't offer it through the MLS. So basically that's how that works. So there are some workarounds around that. I think it's definitely beneficial for sellers, and I'll be advising and already have been advising people that are going to sell with me. You should offer something to the buyer side because you will get more eyeballs, more offers. There will be those fringe buyers that cannot afford the down payment, but they can still make good offers finance. So you don't want to alienate those buyers and ultimately hurt your bottom line. So that's something I've been telling my listing agents. So Keep that in mind. So I know I've heard a lot of doom and gloom, especially from a lot of realtors, and I totally get it. It's going to change the way we do business, but like any other industry in the last 10, 20 years, we do have to adapt. Another huge change that came out with this proposed settlement is the fact that now buyers, in order to see a home with an agent, you have to have a buyer's rep signed with them. So a buyer representation agreement. So you have to sign with them before we open the door. So before, we could tour you a couple houses before you sign with us, but now we have to sign it before we open the door. So this doesn't count open houses, but any private tours now, we have to have a buyer's rep agreement signed, which states the commission that we as buyer's agents, if we're representing you, will receive. So that's a huge change, and it's actually something that a lot of buyers agents have been getting into doing anyway. So I think this just kind of expedites the process, but keep that in mind. If you're a buyer starting mid-July, you will have to sign a buyer's rep in order to have someone unlock the door for you to give you a private tour that's not an open house. But keep in mind, buyers, I know some of you might be a little bit scared to sign something right off the bat before you even meet the agent, before you even tour a house with them. But what I suggest for you that everything's negotiable. So if you're going to sign an agreement with a buyer, you can have terms set up. Hey, I want you to be my buyer's rep for 1 month, 2 weeks, 1 week, even one house. You can do a single property, which is something I suggest so you guys know if you mesh well. Because I know even on the agent side, I want to mesh with the buyer as well. So it doesn't matter if they choose me. I want to work with them too. People want to work with who they like. So what I would suggest, do a one property buyer's rep agreement. See how you guys mesh. And if you guys, if you like how that agent does business, sign with them. Okay, sign with them for longer term and then show them that commitment, and you guys can really work together. But just a little tip for buyers out there in this changing landscape. All in all, what do I think about this settlement? I think it definitely hurts first-time buyers. Like I said, the VAs especially. I think it just makes just one more hurdle that buyers didn't need right now. But having said that, we do have to adapt as agents. These are, well, as long as everything gets approved, this will go into effect mid-July. So we have to act fast and continue to help our clients the best way we can, both on the listing and the buy side. So if you guys have any further questions, if you guys want to keep the conversation going, or you guys have like more nuanced questions, definitely reach out to me. You can go to movetosantacruz.com or email me, Shaye@movetosantacruz.com. I would love to chat on the website. There's a little Calendly link if you want to book a little 15-minute conversation. Definitely do that because we're still learning as we go. You know, it just came out 1 week ago, last Friday. So we are still learning as we go. And as we do that, I'll dispel the information to you guys so you guys are well informed and you guys can be very competitive buyers or sellers in this market. So thanks for getting through this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely put a like or subscribe down there, and I will talk to you soon. Until then, best of luck buying or selling. Let's go.